like us to consider?
Adopt resolution number 3324-25, revoking 6 unused water rights on file with the State Water Resources Control Board.
And moved.
Second.
Thank you, Mark.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. Okay, moving on to item 7B, sole brand, sole source, and purchase of tidal wave mixer form D&H water systems. Jeremy.
Good afternoon. Jeremy Weatherdale, Field Operations Supervisor. I'm in the process of trying to procure some mixers for our water tanks, and I need to get the mixers sole sourced and sole branded for tidal wave. You guys have had a chance to read my discussion? Okay. Yeah, we've tried Casco mixers in the past. They were working well for turning over our tanks, but we're having some bad luck with the product. It was having some premature failures. We've tried SolarBee, and we found we have a tidal wave mixer at 3 tanks. We found them to be cost-effective, cheap to keep operating. If we do have a motor failure, they do stock the motors, so they are readily available and super easy to replace in the field. So we'd like to sole source and sole brand with tidal wave, if I can get the board's blessing.
Are there any questions or comments from the board?
Just a quick question. I mean, how many options are there for something like that?
I know maybe 4 at the most. I mean, because if you Google search it, you really don't come up with very many options. Excuse me.
And they've been around for a while?
Yes. They do not have oil inside them. That's what we were running into a problem with the Casco mixer. They were cooled with oil. Right. They used water to cool. We will never do an oil-cooled mixer again.
No, I mean, it all makes sense to me. Those were kind of just my high-level questions.
Yeah, that's what brought the ops. They're surprisingly cheap. That's what we referenced to as well.
Yeah, so this is like standardizing our spec to basically just have these.
That way all the mixers are the same at all the tanks. Yeah.
Yep. Keep our chlorine residual equal throughout the whole tank. Heterotrophic platelet count on the surface down. It's a good thing.
Are there any comments from the public? Seeing none, what would you like us to consider?
Request a board action for authorize the district to standardize on big wave technology potable water mixers and authorize big wave technology as the manufacturer and provide exclusively by D&H Water Systems as the sole brand and sole source for the potable water tank mixers.
A motion?
I'll second.
Thanks, Jeremy. Appreciate that. Okay, moving on to 7C, resolution confirming water capacity charges and sewer connection fees for calendar year 2026. Ryan.
Good afternoon. Ryan Lee, Customer Service Manager. So today I've got a resolution for you with a proposed increase to the district's water and sewer capacity fees to be effective on January 1st. To give you a little background, the district commissioned its last capacity fee study in 2022, and HDR Engineering performed that study for us. And that was really to determine a fee schedule that accurately represents the district's construction costs and conforms with California law requirements that the fees be cost-based and proportional to the demands of each customer on the district system. They have an interesting methodology. It's very mathematical, but it really looks at existing capacity as well as future capacity to kind of normalize the amount that each customer has bought into the system based on their proportional demand. So that study, the results of that, there were a couple changes that we made. One of the big ones is that we changed how the sewer capacity fees are structured. They used to be based per sewer unit, which was typically for residential properties a kitchen sink or a toilet. We made a change during this last implementation of the study to base that for residential properties on square footage. So that really made a big difference in the fees that affordable housing projects were paying, and it really helped. It saved Sugar Pine Village quite a lot of money on the sewer capacity fees. That change has been popular with our customers, still conforms to California law, and it's equitable. So the other recommendation that came out of that 2022 study was that the industry best practice is to update these fees annually based on a construction cost index. And the reason for that is that it keeps them equitable for these customers as we go through the years, basically that the fees increase in relation to how the district's costs increase. So they recommended that we use the Engineering News Record Cost Construction Index. We've been using that, and in 2022, the board adopted an ordinance, or passed an ordinance confirming that the fees will be updated each January based on that ENR Construction Cost Index. So over the last couple of years, we have done that, and we've seen some different fees. So for calendar year 2023, we saw a 7.2% increase. That was a bigger one coming out of COVID. So the construction cost had increased quite a bit that year. Then in 24, we saw a 2.7% increase, 1.6% increase last year. And this year we are presenting a 2.4% increase, which is the increase in that average construction cost index in 2025 over 2024. So it's come back to kind of what the standard is, what we're expecting. We've always in the past kind of estimated based on a 3% increase on these construction costs, which is kind of used to be the standard. So it's kind of back to normal coming out of COVID. So the fees that you see attached represent that 2.4% increase. To give you a little context, for a typical single-family construction, this represents an increase of about $600. So right now for our single families, our typical is about a 3/4 inch domestic water connection, 1 inch fire connection. So the fees at the old rate were right around $32,800. So that would be at these new fee rates, $33,400. So it's about a $600 increase. All of the local contractors and architects that we work with most often are kind of used to these annual increases. And anytime we review plans, that's how we determine which fees are going to be owed for each project. When we send the customer an email summarizing their fee breakdown, we do include language letting them know that connection fees typically increase January 1st. Just so that they're aware, especially as they get to the end of the year, if they want to get a project in and pay fees at the current rate, they should do that before the end of the year. That said, the board confirms these via resolution each year, so you do not have to adopt this increase, but we bring it to you, again, based on that Engineering News Record Construction Cost Index. Little more context, the number of new permits for new construction has been kind of steadily decreasing over the last decade. We're getting kind of more built out. We're seeing some tear down rebuilds kind of come in with some of the older properties, which we were expecting. They have existing capacity, so they're needing to buy less of it. That said, capacity fees have kind of remained steady right around like 2% of the district's total revenues. That's the case this year as well for 2024, 25. So the fees are included in front of you, but if you have any questions, I'm happy to answer them.
Really great presentation. As soon as I thought of something, you answered it. So great. Very good. I guess my one question is, any input from our people in the construction world or otherwise from the public?
Forgot to mention that. I did ask my staff. We've been keeping track of that as we posted these proposed fees. We have not heard really any comments about that. Like I said, most of them are used to this, so we do have some pending plans right now that the customers are going to try to get their fees paid by the end of the year. But yeah, we really haven't heard any comments on this.
So then for a tear down rebuild, you know, kind of what you're seeing, what would be the standard fee amount for that, if you could just generalize?
Sure. It depends on, so basically if the capacity stays with the lot. So typically for a tear down rebuild, they don't need a new water connection. Sometimes they'll need a new fire connection. So let's say you have an older home that doesn't have a fire service. They'll be able to reuse the existing 3/4 inch water service, so they won't have to pay for that. The 1 inch fire connection, the fees are only $49 right now. So it's fairly cheap for that. they'll pay time and materials to the district crew to install it. So as far as the sewer fees, basically it depends on how many sewer units they have. So let's say the average, and we've always said that 3 sewer units is our average for a residential dwelling. That equates to 2,736 square feet. So if they're building something bigger than 2,700 square feet, they would pay this, you know, the new fees I think are, we are looking at, it'll go up to $4.74 a square foot. So it's really significantly cheaper if they're doing this tear down rebuild. And we see capacity fees on the sewer side somewhere in the low couple $1,000s, and then they'll pay this. It costs them altogether with the fire line maybe like $10,000 to have that thing installed, plus the sewer connection fees. And again, that's only if they're building a bigger house than had existed there before.
No, I remember the discussion going back, you know, when this was originally adopted. Still very excited about the benefit it was to Sugar Pine. I'm glad you referenced that. You know, that was a big motivation for kind of the direction we were going at the time, and just to incentivize, you know, housing options, especially smaller options, without burdening them with, you know, higher upfront cost to get in the system. So it was really, you know, again, I echo Shane. I think it was great, your presentation, and to hear the positive feedback that you've been getting, I think is really good. And beyond that, I don't have any questions.
Yeah, I mean, I'm a big fan of indexing fees just to maintain purchasing power and, you know, just keep up. So I'm all for it. I had a question about like accessory dwelling units and what the sewer connection fees are for that. I thought it was included. I wasn't around when all those changes got made. Can you refresh my memory there, Ryan?
Good question. So accessory dwelling units, there were a lot of changes to California law around ADUs in the last couple of years. They don't have a separate fee structure, but what they've done is exempt them from certain fees. So we cannot charge capacity fees for new ADUs. So basically that is in the administrative code. So the board did adopt an ordinance to comply with California law. What we've done is basically allowed the determination of whether or not a structure is a legal ADU to be borne by the planning agency. So this was a question is, you know, who makes the determination that it meets this legal requirement? So we made it easy by saying the building department or TRPA, kind of both of them, will make that designation. And once they do, they're essentially exempt from water and sewer connection fees. Primarily it's sewer. So the deal with this, it's a little different on the water side. The law does say that if they want to purchase an additional water service connection, then we can charge connection fees for that. So most of them don't. Let's say you have a house with an existing service connection, they'll just tee off of that rather than tap a fresh service into our main. But if they did want a fresh service, the law allows us to charge for that. So typically with ADUs, we're not collecting connection fees. It's becoming more popular, actually not as popular as I was expecting. I really was expecting that once the word got out and some of the, you know, the zoning requirements were loosened up, that we would see a lot of these. We really haven't seen as many as we were expecting. So those are some of the new construction that's coming in. There are also some limits on size. So the law limits you on, you know, you can't build a 6,000 square foot ADU and not pay connection fees on it. We've had a couple people try. But yeah, so there are some limits. I think it's a good law. It's helpful for increasing housing in our town, which is absolutely a need. But yeah, we'll keep you posted on if we start seeing a lot more of those. We probably get, you know, 5 or 6 of them a year over the last couple of years.
What is that threshold, that square footage threshold to kick you over?
I was hoping you weren't going to ask because I was
Either 1,000 or 800.
I think it's 1,800. Or is it 1,000? Okay, yeah.
That's just a curiosity.
Yeah, so it's
Clearly to know that we're not any kind of barrier for ADU development.
Yeah, we're really trying to make it as easy as we can for them.
I think it was a real win for the district in terms of in collaboration with the TRPA, the, you know, city of South Lake Tahoe, you know, to kind of clear the runway to the greatest extent possible. But ultimately, you're just dealing with price per square foot to construction being beyond most people's threshold. So there's only so much you can do. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, cool.
Are there any comments from the public? I'm seeing none. What would you like us to consider, Ryan?
and requesting that the board adopt Resolution 3325-25, a resolution by the Board of Directors of the South Tahoe Public Utility District confirming the water capacity charge and sewer connection fee rates for calendar year 2026.
Motion?
So moved.
Thank you, Ryan. I look down, he's gone, and when I look up, he's there. All right, moving on to item 7D, 2025 Urban Water Management Plan update. John.
Good afternoon. John Sheridan, Operations Supervisor for the record. I just want to say, Mr. President Ramos and fellow directors, thank you for your time this afternoon. I'm before you this morning to request from the board that we execute task order number 39 under the Master Service Agreement, which is updating the Urban Water Management Plan. Before I get to the action item, though, I want to provide some background on the Urban Water Management Plan. So the Urban Water Management Plan is a required document that came out from the state legislature in 1983 as a response to some severe drought that occurred in 1976 and 1977. Basically, it is a long-term planning document to ensure that we can provide critical service, which is our water critical service, to our district customers, our residential, commercial, and our industrial users. They define the urban water system as a system that provides water to more than 3,000 connections or more than 3,000 acre feet. And this plan is required to be updated every 5 years. It's an integrated plan, so it works in conjunction with many other of the plans that have come out of the state legislature recently, such as the Groundwater Sustainability Management Plan, our Water Storage Contingency Plan, as well as the Water Use Efficiency Strategic Plan. And it also takes into account our water system master planning document. Just to get into a little bit about the document itself, many would ask and say, well, why does South Tahoe Public Utility District, aside from the state mandate, required to do this? I feel it's a necessary and critical document, again, for our district customers. It may not be as critical as some of the districts that exist in Southern California who rely on the State Water Project and Colorado River and have seen substantial groundwater table declines. However, when they look at our water supplies, they are not just looking at groundwater drawdown to the table. They are also looking at changes to water policy. Are we seeing decreases in MCL levels that may render a water well obsolete now unless we can treat that water? Do we make an investment? We also know there's those creeping environmental concerns that rear their ugly head up, such as PCE, have now come into our drinking water wells, and once maybe have rendered a drinking water well clean, has now to provide that drinking water well from that we would have to treat to provide that well to our system. So it's not just looking again at the groundwater table declines, it's looking at other things that are impacting our supplies. The study also takes into account demand. So again, we didn't see a substantial amount of growth in the Tahoe area, but as you've noted, Brian mentioned, we do need a significant increase in housing. But there are other issues that occur on the demand side that we need to look at. We do have a planning document. Has the city of South Lake changed any of the zoning requirements in here to increase water demands? Have we allowed for any commercial or industrial users who come into our system who may have a significant water demand, such as these data centers? So you're looking at all this, and again, it's an integrated document. You're also looking at these water law standards because we know in the state of California, conservation means everything. So that is some of the background on the plan. It does provide an assessment and reliability of our resources over a 20-year planning period. It provides an in-depth description of our demand management practices. So it's looking at our meters. Are we a metered system? How are we billing based on our metered system? Is there tiered rates? And are we implementing those conservation programs? So it's looking at the water shortage contingency plan. And so that plan is looking at if we lost 50% of our supplies, would we still be able to meet our providing water to our customers? And then it also looks at non-potable water uses. We know that's not an option in South Lake Tahoe or within our district due to the Port of Cologne Act, but they also are considering that. And then it provides future forecasts for future demands. It plans for drought and climate change. And again, it supports the conservation and allows us to pinpoint infrastructure investments that will allow us to get to meet these plans that are coming out from the state to reduce our water usage and really meet those conservation goals. So again, we elected to go the route of executing this agreement through a master service agreement under Task Order 39. We elected to go with Kennedy and Jenks. 5 years ago, they performed the Urban Water Management Plan update. They provided a very quality document, and we elected to go back and elect to use their services again. And so with that, I would open up the floor to any questions regarding the Urban Water Management Plan.
No, great presentation. I agree. I think, assuming you guys have all had a good kind of time with Kennedy Jenks as of late, I think it makes a lot of sense to continue to use them given their background and familiarity with our system and what's needed. So, no, great presentation.
Thank you.
Yeah, no, we talked about this in the operations committee meeting, and I guess for me, I understand this is a requirement from the state, but I guess I encouraged us to whatever extent we can utilize it for helping inform either our capital improvement program or other programs, our conservation programs that we have at hand. I just don't want it to be something that they go through the business of, pulling together all the numbers and understanding it, but hopefully there's something that we can pull from it and actually guide what we do. So I guess I'm hopeful that we are able to extract something along those lines from this.
Absolutely, President Rosmos. And I will say that being an integrated document and working in conjunction with the water audit and these water contingency plans, it allows us to look at these individual plans and actually maximize and look at the pros and cons of them and look at where increased efficiencies might actually be found.
And then we anticipate this to be completed by the end of the fiscal year, end of June?
That is a great question. So we anticipate this to be completed before middle of the year, so that is June 1st of 2026. Prior to the completion of the project, Kennedy and Jenks will provide the district with a administrative document that is for the district for us to review. Once we review basically the rough draft, it will go back to Kennedy Jenks for updates, and then we will be required to make public notification and bring it back before the public for their vetting. And so that will be one of the final stages of the project.
All right. No more comments or questions from the board? Are there any comments or questions from the public? Seeing none, what would you like us to consider?
I would respectfully request that the Board of Directors approve task order number, and excuse my error, it's not task order 39, it's task order number 34. And I would respectfully request the Board approve task order number 34 to Kennedy and Jenks in the amount of $85,496 for the 2025 Urban Water Management Plan. And the second action is to authorize the General Manager to execute task order number 34.
I'll move that action.
I'll second.
Thank you.
Thank you, John.
And the motion passes unanimously.
All right. We're moving on to item 8, standing and ad hoc committees and liaison reports. And I think we have a very specific item A, committee assignments. I guess we had a couple weeks to kind of think through this. I haven't heard anything other than from Nick on he's happy with where we are. Joel, are you good to go? Kelly and I had a little conversation prior to the meeting, and we thought we might swap. I might go to finance, you go to ops.
One thing, because I was just looking at, is that I might have a problem getting here at 3:30.
Oh. Okay.
But I probably can work it out. Yeah. So.
I mean, you can adjust.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Did you say 3? 3:30. Oh, 3:30. Because typically that's when it is, correct? Typically it is.
I think we can probably adjust that time if we need to.
Yeah, but I'll work towards that. So I just want to mention it.
So, yeah, that's okay. I think that's kind of where I'd like to go. Nick, you don't?
Good.
You're good? You're good? Okay, very good. Okay. It's just, yeah, I think it's just me jumping on the finance and then Kelly going on to ups. And then maybe some adjustments in the timing of that.
But I'll find that out. I'll find out tomorrow.
Okay.
Are you relieved?
Yeah. Looking forward to finance in this couple.
No more hard questions. All right, very good. Okay. I guess just moving on from that agenda item, it sounds like we got that straightened out. Are there any other reports from the board?
Just had finance, and you guys also received the same report.
Yeah, we had ops. Most of it was about what we went over for board items. We kind of went over the operations stuff pretty quick, but the Sacramento Ave water line is done. The paving will happen in the spring when people are re-immobilized. Ivy and crew, I guess, Chris jumped in, Adrian jumped in, very good year in review for the sewer collection. They hydro-cleaned the entire gravity fed system, which was pretty impressive in one calendar year. And just a whole bullet list of things. The merge of sewer and DVR is working out really well across all parties. So that's going pretty smooth. He could probably provide that list, but it was very lengthy and very informative. So I thought that was a good review. And then we also had a tour. Lahontan came and did the tour of the wastewater treatment plant as well as DVR, which turned into an impromptu inspection. But that inspection turned out to be very well and went very good. That can be provided too, but there was nothing that came out of that we had any needed to shift or change anything with that. But yeah, outside of that, I think you covered it all.
Yeah, no, I'll just add just a couple more. I just want to say thank you to the crews. It sounds like they really nailed it this year in terms of getting the sewer lines inspected and cleaned, and a lot of stuff going on down at DVR in terms of getting some of the ditches cleaned out. They got the hay barn set up. They got a bunch of manholes reset and grade. TV in the C line, so they got like 1,000 feet, lineal feet of TV line on the C line, which would save us some dough on it. Almost 5,000.
Once they went in, it was 1,000
okay.
away, right?
Okay.
Yeah.
I wrote that down incorrectly, but that's even better. Nonetheless, though, I was really impressed with the crew this year, and if you can extend our appreciation, keep up the good work. Anything from you, Nick?
Nothing from me.
Okay. Yeah, I haven't had a chance to read this inspection report. This is from Lahontan. I will take a look at that, but it sounds to me like there was no glaring issues associated with their review of either the sewer plant or otherwise TVR. So anyways, more to come on that.
Just a quick question out of curiosity. So you showed up and then it just impromptu turned into an inspection with like sheets? Is this really what happened?
There's a new regulator that we were talking to this past year, so we wanted to show them everything, offered a field trip, and then when they got here, they kind of went through a spiel to make sure it was okay, and we didn't actually realize it was an inspection until we got the report.
I just really find that comical, so I just wanted to check though. Appreciate it.
That was our reaction in ops too.
I would say you're very much
better that it's a little more informal, like, you know what I mean? Like, they felt comfortable, like you weren't putting up any kind of front.
Banging down the front door.
We actually did joke with them to ask if she didn't allow them to do the inspection or to destroy what they would do it, because they'd come back with a warrant.
All right. Moving on to item 9, board member reports. Anyone on?
Well, have a great holiday, everybody.
Yeah. We went bowling at the party.
Kelly
and I were there.
Party, yeah.
Ah, very well attended.
Yeah, fun. Cool.
I'm glad you claimed it. That's
Put up the
good.
bumpers?
Oh. Give me a little.
I would prefer to have the bumpers up. Okay, moving on to item 10A, grants update.
Good afternoon, members of the board. My name is Danielle Morris. I'm the grant coordinator, and I'm here this afternoon to give you a brief update of the grant program. I'd like to start today by talking about some of our recent accomplishments on projects that were funded with both grants and low-interest state revolving fund loans. So we have two grants that are still currently active with the Department of Water Resources, but are going to be coming to a close here in the next year. And we have some very exciting accomplishments that we have achieved so far with that funding. So one of the two big ones from DWR is going to be our water loss reporting dashboard. So this is a new dashboard that has worked to integrate both our customer side usage data and our water system side data. But it's pulling that data together and allowing us to run some comparisons to really try to address our system water loss. So we've been working with a great consultant called Kiefer Consulting to put this all together for us under Chris's leadership, and I am just so excited with the product that we have received. And not only will it help the district in identifying system water loss, but they have also designed some reports that will assist us in the water loss reporting that we have to do to regulatory agencies on a regular basis. So that's great. And then also from the same grant, we recently installed an additional AMI meter base station on the 100-foot radio tower here at the wastewater treatment plant. So Ross led that effort, and I'm so thankful for him for getting it done before the end of the year and before our grant expires, because it was no easy feat to get that coordinated. But that piece of equipment will add redundancy to our meter reading infrastructure, and it will also enhance our meter reading coverage. So another great component out of our grant funding. Through Bureau of Reclamation Water Smart grants, we have just completed the installation of the Washona-Coma PRV, which will connect two pressure zones over in the Washone and Susquehanna, kind of over in that area, and it will help to create system redundancy and enhance our fire flow efforts in that area. And then also with Bureau of Reclamation funding, under a water conservation grant, we implemented a toilet sensor pilot program. So I believe you guys have heard about this from Lauren. We are working with a local hotel to install sensors on toilets so that we can get a better idea of how much water they might be losing through leaking toilets. So I'm very anxious to see the results of that, and hopefully looking forward to finding funding to be able to roll that out to other customers, commercial customers like hotels and whatnot, because it's really challenging to find, active leaks on toilets because they only have one meter. And I can recall the days when I was the water conservation specialist of going around and testing hotel toilets for leaks. And this is a much more efficient process. So I'm hoping that we'll be able to duplicate this in the future, and then we'll get some good data from it. And then utilizing funding from the State Water Resources Control Board, we have recently completed the rehabilitation of the Upper Truckee Pump Station, which is one of the district's most 5 critical pump stations. And we recently completed our final inspection with SRF. This one we knew about, luckily. They gave us a heads up that that's what they were doing. So that all went very well, and Brent was there to tell them, all about the components of the project and how it will improve our overall system operation. So a lot of great things that are wrapping up this year with grants. Other projects that are currently in action with grant funding are under Cal OES and FEMA. We are currently implementing our Strengthening Cyber Resilience program, and that is working to upgrade critical software to provide enhanced cybersecurity assessment and monitoring for the district. That will also include conducting a penetration test on our system to really look for any weaknesses that we need to work on and really strengthen our cybersecurity resilience overall. And then on El Tahoe Bayview, you guys have heard about this one at length. We are in progress and moving forward with our backup generator power for the El Tahoe and Bayview wells, our two largest producing wells in the system. And we have been so fortunate to basically receive all the various amendments that we've requested on this grant to make scope of work changes and to extend the timeline, which really are all a result of the delay in funding. So we'll blame those on FEMA, but they've been working, Cal OES has been working with us really well to get those extensions, so that's been nice. And then with additional Bureau of Reclamation funding, we will be installing the last of the residential water meters in our system next year. So our AMI meter installation will, I think there's about 80 left to go. So this funding will help us to complete that installation. And then under a separate water conservation grant, we are designing decision support tools that will assist our customers, and specifically commercial, industrial, and institutional customers, in reducing their overall water usage. And a lot of that is really focusing on outdoor water usage. So this program has multiple components where we're gathering additional data where we currently have gaps. We're going to use that data to try to create tools that will really help our CII customers when we move more towards water budgets and them having to stay within a certain parameter for their water use. So we're trying to set our customers up for success for the future regulations that are to come. And then with our Forest Service funding, you'll be happy to hear that our hazardous fuels reduction project has been underway for a few months now, and they have been out, I believe that targets 40 high-priority infrastructure sites between 3 utilities here in the basin, our utilities, Tahoe City PUD and North Tahoe PUD, and we have the CCCs are doing the work for us, so we were very fortunate to be able to contract them to do this fuels reduction work. We are having them go out and hit the sites with the most amount of trees that need to be removed first, so they've been working on our Arrowhead tank site quite excessively. I believe there was 200 trees on that site that needed to be removed. So again, it's been a bit of a challenge to coordinate the various, that we have multiple funding sources and multiple permitting agencies for the removal of wood. So you wouldn't think that fuels reduction would be as challenging as it is, but we are progressing. So I'm happy to report that. And then on the fire partnership front, we continue to administer the fire partnership grants for fiscal years 23, 24, and we just received and are rolling out 25. So these are all wonderful projects that are making our community safer by enhancing our fire flow capacities for all the different agencies within the partnership. And if you recall, our Pioneer Trail water line is within the fiscal year 24 funding. And we're going to be wrapping up 23 here very soon. So lots of great fire enhancement projects happening all over the basin with that funding.
Can I ask a question?
Absolutely.
Just back to the hazardous fuels piece. So of the 40 sites, do you know how many have actually completed the work?
I don't know the question for that. I know, like, Trevor, do you?
We've done Iroquois tank. All the trees are down at Arrowhead. We're still working on shipping and putting the rounds. And then
more about the salvage operation, post-Calabar.
Yes, yeah, lots of standing dead trees. Pretty much anything that was in striking distance of our facilities or within 10 feet of a roadway. So yeah, it was a substantial number of trees. We have about a 5-acre parcel there, so it's and then Iroquois was a lot simpler. Our crews had gone through and done a substantial amount of work ahead of the Calabar fire. Both our crews in partnership with Forest Service and some contracting agencies. So we had cleared a lot of these sites previously, but this is kind of a good follow-up. It's a lot of limbing and brushing will be the majority of the work that anticipates. And then 3 or 4 over in the virus area. They started closest to their facility, and they used Arrowhead kind of as a training site because there was a lot of trees away from our facility, and it was really close to where they were.
So in terms of, I'm just trying to envision the timing of this, and we had that risk assessment done prior, and so I guess my hope is we are targeting those facilities that are at highest risk. And so, I mean, Arrowhead, yeah, I can see, obviously, after the fact, probably risk of trees falling on it. But are we doing anything in and around our Luther Pass pump station?
Luther Pass is on the short list. They'll be up next. It's about, between all entities, over 40 sites. The majority of them are our sites. We do a risk analysis in terms of proximity, access. These are primarily facilities that border either CTC or U.S. Forest Service lands.
I encourage it.
Yes, absolutely. Well, and just as a bit of background, so the sites that we are currently doing work on were identified when we developed the wildfire prevention plan, the vulnerability analysis. So the funding built, we started with the planning, with grant funding through CTC, and we've been building off of that. So this will be the culmination of that effort. But don't you worry, there is more money coming for fuels reduction. So if there is something that is not included in this funding,
so I'm sure we're hitting our most critical locations first.
Yes, absolutely. And another thing to note about the fuels reduction is they are targeting those sites that have tree removal first, because tree removal becomes more complicated when you get into the spring with the bird nesting season. So they're really trying to remove all the trees that they possibly can now while we're out of those environmental constraints, and then we'll focus on the additional groundwork in the spring to wrap it all up. So
those still fall under a limited operating period as well.
Yes, but with less of a burden, I would say, than the tree removal, although I would imagine you would know a lot more about that than I would.
Sorry to interrupt you.
No, that's okay. So, moving along, we are also working on various grant-funded planning efforts. I won't reiterate what the update I gave at the last board meeting, but the local hazard mitigation plan continues. And then we are also working on our wildfire resilience planning with El Dorado Water Agency funding. That is helping to fund the update of the hazard mitigation plan, but also funding the preparation of structural hardening assessments that Lake Valley is performing on our water facilities. They're actually Lake Valley is going to do water and sewer facilities, but we're targeting water first because this grant is going to cover some of the costs for the water facilities, and it has an expiration date of next year. So we have already started to see some of the reports come through, and I'm really excited to continue to see those. And then we will just use those to apply for additional fuels reduction funding. And I'm sorry, not fuels reduction, structural hardening funding. So overall, we are managing almost $9 million in grants currently and almost $20 million in SRF loans. And we are currently negotiating agreements with the State Water Resources Control Board for another almost $40 million worth of low-interest loans. So a lot of funding to be managing right now, and especially with those loans, and we are hopeful that we will continue to be successful in receiving that funding. Just another area where we have spent a lot of efforts, spent a lot of our focus lately is under compliance and monitoring. So buzzwords all around the country this whole year have been fraud, waste, and abuse, and there's a lot of emphasis on compliance and oversight right now. So we are taking the lead on trying to just dive into all of our programs and our grants and our subrecipient monitoring to really ensure that we are doing everything we absolutely need to be doing to check the boxes, to cross the T's and dot the I's, and to ensure that we continue to be excellent source for receiving both local, state, and federal funding. So we, as you heard earlier, we were very happy to hear that we had a clean single audit for fiscal year 25. So we had over $1 million in federal grant funding that we had to go through all the testing for. So that all went very well. I was very pleased with that. And then the grant staff has been elevating our knowledge and our practices through continued training and education. We've implemented kickoff meetings and check-in meetings with our project teams to just maintain focus on the grant terms and conditions. And then we're developing enhanced procedures. And as I said earlier, we have developed a robust subrecipient monitoring program that includes just as much information as we possibly can provide to really support our partners in our partnerships like the Tahoe Water for Fire Suppression Partnership, where we act as the primary recipient of the funding and we sub-award it to them. we are on the line for that funding. So we have to make sure that they are doing everything that they need to be doing to maintain our eligibility. So we've been working with our partners to develop checklists, materials they can use to help to build their bid packages, and just a variety of tools and information. And then we are also trying to kind of keep a track and keep a thumb on the district pulse and what's going on here. So we've been involved in the CIP planning development workshops. We continue to work with our various departments in the district to determine funding needs and priorities. And then for those projects that have multiple funding sources and have more complicated components, we continue with project and funding coordination meetings. So Pioneer Trail is a great example of that, working together to make sure that things keep moving forward on that project and that we're not jeopardizing any of our funding sources. And we will continue to do that. And then as we're tracking our funding opportunities coming up, you know, one thing that's exciting is we were negotiating an agreement with the BLM for the Indian Creek Reservoir Nutrient Control Project before the government shutdown, and I was a little worried that that might fall off the radar during the shutdown. It has not, and we are now continuing on with the negotiations of that. So we are slated to receive an award for $80,000, which is only a fraction of what we asked for. We actually asked for close to $500,000 over 5 years. What they told us is they love our project, they want to fund it, but they can only do 1 year at a time. So they're giving us this money, which the first year is all about preparing for the actual chemical application that we're going to do the next 4 years. So that leads me to believe that we have a very high chance of receiving additional funding over the next 5 years to complete that project, assuming that the BLM gets an allocation. So.
I guess for me, like that particular situation, why are we still the responsible party for Indian?
Well, I can't answer that question of why we are still the responsible party. It is other than I believe it's part of our regulatory responsibility of having Harvey Place and still having Harvey Place,
Harvey Place for sure. I can see Harvey Place.
I was waiting for you to jump in there.
Yes, it is. I mean, we had a 50-year agreement to manage that reservoir. I think through some research, we've kind of determined that it's also somewhat tied into our Lahontan permit, because at one point we were thinking, if we can dump this off, why not dump it off? But I think it's a little more complicated than that. But I still think that's something we're going to evaluate more this year, and maybe or maybe not come back with a recommendation on whether or not to try to get rid of it.
I think I can answer the question.
Okay.
So from a Clean Water Act perspective, we're a responsible party because we built the reservoir, and if not for the reservoir existing, the reservoir wouldn't have a water quality problem. And it's like in the same way that like a dry cleaner who has a PCE still on their property can't just sell it and be like, oh, it's not my problem anymore. So that's why on the actual TMDL, we're listed responsible party.
What if we got rid of the dam?
Yeah, if we got rid of the dam, then, well, it would be hard because it's a jurisdictional water, and so to get rid of the jurisdictional water would be a complicated process. But if the dam wasn't there, then the reservoir wouldn't be there, and there would be no TMDL. So, yeah.
For another day, we can have that conversation.
The good news is on the funding is there's no match requirement on this, so they're paying for the, you know, what we're. I mean, that's kind of how we sold it to them, in a roundabout sort of way.
So this project is intended to alleviate our internal staff and lab from the regulatory reporting requirements around the oxygenation.
Thank you, Mark. And then additionally, we continue to monitor the California Prop 4 bond allocation. So what you're seeing in front of you here is the what is expected to be allocated to the various different programs under the bond for this current fiscal year. I'm sorry, next fiscal. No, this is the current fiscal year. Yeah. California is a little slow in getting their grant programs up and running, but we are definitely going to be targeting the first two categories there for our structural hardening and then for continuing to find projects within our water system that fall within that safe drinking water, drought, flood, and water resilience. So I think those are the areas that we will find the most opportunities and also the ones with the most amount of funding.
These numbers are in billions.
Yes.
I just make a pitch that we might have an opportunity in our biodiversity, nature-based climate solutions for our wetland project down at DVR. Perhaps.
It's possible. It's possible. The
Not
other
idea, Shane. For what it's worth.
The other area where I want to look for funding for DVR projects is through agricultural opportunities. So I know that there's been a lot of discussion about our canals over there needing to either line them or pipe them or things like that. And because it's carrying water that's ultimately used for agriculture, we're hoping to find some funding opportunities there as well. And then back to the Tahoe Water for Fire Suppression Partnership, we just hosted our project ranking meeting for the fiscal year 26 funding. We don't know if we're going to get funding in 26, but we hope that it will continue. And I believe Shelley will provide some updates on that in her presentation and from the federal level what the funding's looking like. But we have submitted, we actually submitted 3 projects. I didn't list the last one on here because it will not be funded in this round due to when it's planned to construct. But we submitted our Park Avenue Waterline Fire Suppression Improvements Project, which we are also hoping to get an earmark for. So if we get the earmark for that, then we will swap to the Lake Tahoe Boulevard Waterline Fire Suppression Project. So our goal is to definitely get funding for one of these 2 projects out of fiscal year 26. And I think we will be, based on the ranking and the scoring, I think we will be right in a good spot for that. So.
These are just water line replacements, basically, the upsize.
They're basically upsizing water line replacements with hydrants and inner ties. So they're all necessary improvements to get our fire flow capacity up. So lucky for us that we have this funding stream to continue to help implement those projects. And then we are looking for opportunities for water strategy and planning, both on our export system upgrades and our mains out of Meadows strategy. And then, of course, that will be refined based on the launch of the new CIP and what the operations and engineering and other departments are expressing as priorities, where we need, what projects are most important. So we'll continue to monitor and update as necessary. And then just evaluating local opportunities. As Nick reported last board meeting, I was able to participate in the EIP retreat with all the different working groups. I finally have an understanding of how that process works, which was very helpful. And then it was great to make some connections with some other working group members. So. And that is it. And I took much longer than I expected today, so I apologize for that.
That's my fault. Sorry.
Okay, I'll let you take the blame. Does anyone have any questions?
No, glad you're plugging into the EIP. I think the Environmental Improvement Program could help the district in terms of just, diversifying opportunity. And then I'm glad you're also tracking Prop 4. There's kind of a lot there. I know it's lagging in terms of getting out the door, but definitely a lot of funding there. So great report, a lot going on.
Yeah, and I just was checking on capacity for you and your team.
Mm-hmm.
It's a substantial increase in terms of, management of funds that we're looking into. And so we've discussed this in the past, just the benefit of, everybody's district, of course, but grants and so forth. And just, as we're getting to CIP and staffing discussion, just with all of this, just making sure how you're doing on capacity and if there needs to be more evaluation there, if you need more help.
I mean, right now, I am very fortunate to have an excellent team. It's myself, Jennifer Marshall is our grant specialist here in the audience, who has been I'm so thankful to have her by my side every day. And then we had a little bit of a gap when I lost Kim from the accounting grant program assistant position. She retired. And we had a gap there. Now we have Carrie, who's joined the team, who has just brought with her a wealth of information and knowledge, and she's picking everything up really good. So we are feeling, while we continue to be busy, which I like, and I want to keep it that way, I think our capacity fits very well with what we're managing right now. So I appreciate the question, though.
Just thank you for bringing this forward. It's always, for me, it's always really important that we continue to go after these sources of funding, obviously, to alleviate the burden on our ratepayers. So thank you.
Well, thank you so much, and happy holidays, everyone.
Okay. Legislative update, Shelley.
Good afternoon, board members. So wanted to provide a legislative update. At the federal level, it's been a very interesting year with the longest federal shutdown in history, and also with California passing Prop 50. So that changes our congressional district. So our district used to go from Mount Shasta along the Nevada line all the way down to Death Valley. And with Prop 50, we are now a much smaller congressional district that includes Nevada, Placer, and El Dorado County. So I'm not sure who all will run for our district this November, but I would guess our current representative, Congressman Kiley, will likely throw in his hat, as well as Congressman Ami Bera, who's a Democrat who currently represents District 6, which is Citrus, Heights, and Rancho Cordova, just north of Sacramento. East, thank you, of Sacramento. So we'll see what happens this upcoming year. We're still waiting on Congress to pass a budget for the year and are hoping that the community projects are included. So as a reminder, Congressman Kiley added our Park Avenue Waterline project to the earmark list for $1.2 million. It's still on the list, and I'm feeling really hopeful that earmarks may get passed this year, as the 2026 appropriations bill did include some earmark funding for law enforcement and fire projects. So we should know more about interior funding in the next month. And if, fingers crossed, if funded, the Park Avenue project is slated to construct in 2026. So last week I met virtually with all of our federal delegation. Lots of good news, and we've got a lot of projects that we're working on for the upcoming year. So Senator Padilla's staff is helping us explore options of revising language to the state revolving fund program to expand eligibility to include water for fire suppression projects, water infrastructure projects that are not currently eligible. Meeting with Senator Schiff's office, they have some concerns that SRF may be oversubscribed, so they're interested in potentially introducing a separate bill to help on this issue to address lack of funding for water infrastructure for fire. Congressman Kiley's office continues to be a champion for us on this issue, prioritizing Tahoe's water infrastructure projects on that earmark list. So both us and Tahoe City have projects this year on the list, helping secure funding for our Tahoe Water for Fire partnership. That comes through the Forest Service Region 5, as well as helping us resolve issues that we've had over the last year with some federal funding delays as needed. So we continue to have, I also met with our Nevada delegation. We're really lucky to have folks on both sides of the lake care about our issues. So Senator Cortez Masto, Senator Rosen, and Congressman Amadei's office continue to support our Tahoe Water for Fire suppression issues, as well as we're working with them to figure out how to secure some Water Resources Development Act funding for Tahoe. So a lot of projects that we're looking forward to working on in the upcoming year. Before I jump to the state level, I wanted to share a quick 3-minute video with you. So as you know, the district celebrated our 75th anniversary this year, and Congressman Kiley was very sad to miss it, but he did recognize the district's achievements on the House floor, and I'd just like to play this short clip for you now because it's all about us and our accomplishments.
Mr. Speaker, I wish to recognize and commemorate the 75-year anniversary of the South Tahoe Public Utility District, a trusted steward of environmental protection and sustainable water management in the Tahoe community. The South Tahoe Public Utility District was formed in the 1950s to protect the ecosystem of the Tahoe Basin while furnishing customers with reliable water and wastewater treatment services. Since then, they've grown into a nationally recognized utility that exemplifies innovation, resilience, and exceptionalism in public service. The district supplies quality drinking water and provides reliable wastewater collection, treatment, and export services to over 14,000 residents and 660 commercial and government sites. Their services play a significant role in the function of the region and have improved the quality of life and experiences for residents, businesses, and visitors. Over the span of more than 7 decades, the South Tahoe Public Utility District has achieved a wide diversity of accomplishments, including building the world's first advanced wastewater treatment plant, bringing high-quality Tahoe tap to the community, earning national recognition as the Environmental Protection Agency's Wastewater Treatment Plant of the Year, and becoming a 100% recycled wastewater operation, just to name a few. These successes reflect the district's deep commitment to protecting Lake Tahoe's environment, ensuring the sustainability of its water resources, and fostering community engagement. Throughout its history, the South Tahoe Public Utility District has faced and overcome many unique challenges. During droughts, wildfires, and even a global pandemic, the district did not falter in its mission. In moments of crisis, such as the Angora, Tamarack, and Calder fires, the district's personnel displayed courage and determination, standing shoulder to shoulder with firefighters under hazardous conditions and evacuation orders to continuously maintain water flow and wastewater treatment. For 3/4 of a century, the South Tahoe Public Utility District has established a legacy of efficiency, professionalism, and excellence. I have no doubt that that legacy will only continue to grow in the years to come. It has been a privilege to work alongside the South Tahoe Public Utility District throughout my tenure as Tahoe's representative in Congress. And therefore, on behalf of the United States House of Representatives and California's 3rd Congressional District, I am proud to celebrate this milestone and to commend the South Tahoe Public Utility District for their 75 years of unwavering dedication to the region and the protection of a national treasure, that is Lake Tahoe.
Amazing.
I wanted him to call it stupid, though. I couldn't help it.
So at the state level, it's also been a very busy year with some good water bills that we supported and some bad water bills that we worked with authors to either amend or lobbied against. Of particular interest is Assembly Bill 372. So this is the bill that you guys have heard about that I worked with Tahoe City PUD, North Tahoe PUD, and Assemblymember Bennett's office to advance. And it expands California Office of Emergency Services grant program to include water infrastructure for fire projects. While things were looking very promising for it passing in the Senate and Assembly, there was a lot of contention this year in Sacramento over allocations for Prop 4 climate bond funding, and that's where the funding for this program would come through. So we decided to pull this bill, make it a 2-year bill, and do some more outreach education. So earlier this week, I met with the governor's office to talk about this bill. They provided some valuable feedback and concerns, and so we're going back to the drawing board to re-strategize our outreach plan in hopes of getting this bill passed this year. And then also, you know, when I work with our legislators on various issues, partnership is really key. I often am working with agency partners around the lake, and so our relationships with our partnerships is great, but we've got some big changes coming up. So the Lake Tahoe Basin Management Unit Forest Supervisor Eric Walker is retiring in the next month. He's been a real advocate for us for funding through the Forest Service for the Tahoe Water for Fire Suppression Partnership. The city manager just accepted a new job for the city of Malibu. Joe Irvin's also been a big supporter. Anytime we reach out to him, the city is there to support the district's water and sewer projects. And then Lake Valley Fire. We work very closely with them when we bring our representatives up to talk about this issue of water for fire. And Chief Stephen is retiring, I think Friday, this month. So we met, I think it was this week, although life is so busy, maybe it was last. We met with Lake Valley's new fire chief, Chief Mack, and
Yesterday, just to let you know.
well, if you have children, you've attended 8 recitals since then. So we met with Chief Stephen, with the new Chief Mack and outgoing Chief Stephen yesterday to highlight how closely we work as a water district with our fire district, develop that relationship. Adrian will be planning on taking him out, showing him various facilities. So I think this year, in addition to working at the federal and state level, is also an opportunity to reassess, to form relationships with new leaders as they come into our community and highlight the importance of Tahoe partnerships. So looking forward to a big year of tracking more bills, supporting various legislations that benefit our community and our customers. Thank you for your time. Any questions?
Chief Mack, is he rising up the ranks, or is he?
He's not. He's not an internal candidate. He's coming from Reno. So he has, I believe, 28 years of experience with Reno. He has a lot of experience with doing emergency management and roundtables. Reno also gets snow and ice and cars that hit hydrants. He's an engineer by training, so really likes getting into the details of things. I think he will be a great fit. Joel, I know Jess is on Lake Valley's board. Anything else I missed that you wanted to add?
Yeah, I think it was 26 years. I think they're excited. The final call out for Chief Stevens will be tomorrow at 8:30 if anyone has a scanner to listen in. So, yeah.
Any other questions?
Any other comments or questions?
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Appreciate it. Okay. Moving on to, we canceled 10C. Moving on to item 11, General Manager Report.
We're going to have Trevor give a quick update on the solar project.
Oh, sorry. Flipping the switch.
It's hard to follow up with better news than audit reports, so. Want to let you know that we're really close to turning things on. We're trying to get things online tomorrow. We're doing some last-minute SCADA programming with Liberty. They're testing connections. The South Road was blocked today, so things are looking really good. Finalizing our building permit with the city. All the inspections are going really well. Doing a lot of tests of cabling and wiring. So we think we'll be turning the switch. If it's not tomorrow, it'll be at the start of the year, which is really good. For those of you that don't remember, we're maxed out on size, but I just did an analysis of like the monthly production versus like time of use rates and the proposed rate. Does anyone know what we pay Liberty peak summer rate right now? It's about a quarter a kilowatt hour. Anybody remember what we're paying Stat? And we agreed to this like 4 years ago. It's about 12.5 cents. So we're paying about half on the power it'll generate. So that's a savings of $189,000 a year in year one. There's about a 2.8 or 2.9% escalator on it, but we've been seeing Liberty go up far more than that. So we're hoping we'll see about $190,000 savings in year one. So just wanted to let you know this has been a long time coming. That we're all very excited. There's been just a flurry of activity. We're working with a SCADA contact with Liberty in New Hampshire right now before he goes on vacation on Saturday, and just there's a lot of activity in the background. So when you see the little high lift down there, just know that that's kind of the very end of a very long process. Any questions on the solar project?
Yeah, no, absolutely.
There's a lot of money on the line to get it done by the end of the year for the developer. There's about $1 million. So they're pushing hard right now. So don't get in the way of them, finally.
No, I mean, like going back to college, right? Like always the day before. And so, great work can continue to push this forward. It is a bit of a wonderful Christmas present for the board. And so, yeah, great work by everybody.
I will, and also note, the CEO was on the call this morning. I mean, risen to that level for their company. And he reminded us, he's like, let us know if you want batteries, so we'll follow up on that. So, thank you.
Okay, now, item 11.
All right. I just got a couple of year-end feel-good things to report on. But first, just a reminder, we're skipping the next board meeting, so we won't meet again until January 15th. We received a couple of awards here from Aqua's Joint Powers Insurance Authority. And during one of their recent board meetings, the district was recognized for having exceptionally low claims under the property coverage program, and even more importantly, under the workers' compensation program, which means our employees are being safe and we're having very few lost time work accidents. So that's very good news. The other thing is, for many years, the employees here at this district have been purchasing presents for children and families for the Tahoe Youth and Family Services Program, and this year was definitely no exception. Just a few hours earlier, we delivered about 75 presents to their office, and so they're very appreciative of that. And then this is special. Every year, the Sierra section of CWA, which is California Water Environment Association, which I think John still is a board member on. Are you? Yeah. They recognize exceptional agencies and exceptional employees for various achievements. And this year, our district won awards for the best medium-sized treatment plant and also the best safety plant of the year. So that goes along with our low workers' compensation claims. And then two of our employees were specifically recognized for Electrical Instrumentation Person of the Year. That went to Jared Offenbach, our wonderful electrical. And this one is really special. The Mechanical Technician Person of the Year went to Scott Blake. Other than that, just want to wish you all a nice holiday season, and we'll see you next year.
Thank you. Okay, so item 12, you see the past and future meetings, dates, etc. I think into the next year, I think Kelly will be taking over. Is that correct on us? And I'll be on finance. That's when this is all playing out. And then I'm assuming we don't have a closed session today. Okay. All right, with that, Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays, and the meeting is adjourned.